What's going on YouTube? Cloverbuzz here, back with another Scarlet Violet Spotlight video, and today we're going to be taking a look at Wo-Chien. It just won a Regulation G tournament, and I kind of want to take a look at that because I think it's an interesting niche Pokemon to use in a restricted format that we have right now. Okay, so it's been a year since Wo-Chien had any kind of relevance. The last time you could even consider Wo-Chien on your team was like Regulation C, but since then it's pretty much taken a backseat to the other three Treasures of Ruin Pokemon because they just have more to offer to your teams, whereas Wo-Chien can kind of struggle a little bit, and by a little bit I mean a lot, right? It's not a big damage dealer like Fluttermane, Chi-Yu, or Chien-Pao, right? And Ting-Lu is just overall better bulk, okay? And then at the same time, just like, well, where does Wo-Chien fall under, right? Can it give you something? Not that much, but now all of a sudden it can, okay? So now let's look at some of the tools that it can give you now in a restricted format. First of all, I look at the ability Tablets of Ruin, basically getting that attack damage reduced, which is important, right? Anytime you have a restricted format, that means big uber legendaries running around, dealing a ton of damage, and that also means you're going to need some support Pokemon to mitigate that damage. Otherwise, they just run through you within like 2 or 3 turns and then the game is done, right? That's not Pokemon, okay? Pokemon is a game where you need to position yourself where you can get the advantage at certain points and then, go for the kill against the opponent, right? And Wo-Chien can help you get that advantage, but it has to slow the game down for you, okay? It's one of those Pokemon that can do that, just like Incineroar, Amoonguss, Ogerpon, Wellspring. These are very good defensive backbone Pokemon, and Wo-Chien falls into that category, right? So, like, look at the restricted format. Look at what we got. We've got Koraidon running around, okay? We've got Groudon running around. You've got Calyrex-Ice Rider running around. You've got Zacian, right? Like, these are all physical options that are, you need to reduce their damage against. And, Incineroar can help you only so much. And something like Wo-Chien can help you a little bit, depending on the team that you put it on, right? And again, I'm not saying this is going to, like, break the meta or anything, because at the end of the day, it's just a niche Pokemon at best. But still, it can have a role this time, and it's actually a little bit viable. Whereas, in previous formats, nobody was using this thing, okay? But to be able to reduce the damage that these guys are dealing out is important, right? And then at the same time, all that considered, okay, you do get access to Snarl, which is important against some of the other special attackers on the team, right? Not on the team, but, against the opponent, right? So stuff like Calyrex-Shadow Rider is the first thing that comes to mind. If you can reduce that damage, that's great. Stuff like Lunala, break the Shadow Shield and reduce the special attack damage. That's also going to be good. Now, sometimes you're going to have some trouble against Terapagos because they have the Covert Cloak. So maybe not that. But how about Kyogre, right? Wo-Chien can kind of sit in the rain and not really take all that much damage from Kyogre. And then you can just Snarl it, right? Then you can click a grass move like Giga Drain. And then, the Kyogre can't really beat you. Yes, they do run Ice Beam, but that's not a stab move, okay? And, Wo-Chien can kind of take that, with base 135 special defense. So, and then even after Snarls, it's not doing all that much anyway. So you've got that going for you. So actually, Wo-Chien can actually, have some good usage, right? Just because of the, the toolkit that it can give you, right? In terms of Snarl, reducing special attack damage, and Tablets of Ruin, reducing physical damage all in all. It can also give you a clerical move, Pollen Puff, just like Amoonguss, where you can heal yourself and then, stay on the field for a little bit longer and do more damage, right? So if you just consider Incineroar Amoonguss, right? Now all of a sudden you have Incineroar Wo-Chien. Is it worse? Maybe, right? Because now you have double fighting weakness, okay? But you get access to Snarl, okay? You still get Pollen Puff. You're much bulkier than Amoonguss, even though your typing may not be as good. And then at the same time, you also can do stuff like Foul Play, right? And Foul Play, again, like we said, is pretty good against these big physical attackers, especially after like Swords Dance stuff. So like Groudon Swords Dance, Zacian Swords Dance. Okay, these are Pokemon that don't want to be taking Foul Play after Swords Dance. So that's also pretty nice. And then at the same time, remember the annoying Leech Seed slow stuff with Protect? Okay, then you had something like Leftovers, for example. This was also pretty annoying, right? Because then it just Leech Seeded your team, all right? And then it just got Recovery, with Leftovers and stuff. And then it was not fun to deal with, right? So it can do that. And then at the same time, I really think that the best way to put Wo-Chien or utilize it is to pair it with a special attacking restricted, because special attackers are not really affected by Wo-Chien, you know, if you have it on your side. So it's pretty good at mitigating physical damage, which is good. Okay, so stuff like Kyogre is going to appreciate it. Calyrex-Shadow Rider is going to appreciate it. Lunala is going to appreciate it. Okay, these are just very, very common restrictors that I'm thinking off the top of my head that can really utilize it, right? So a couple sets here that you can utilize. I do think something like Foul, Pollen Puff, and Snarl is important for something like this. You could even do something like a Citrus Berry here, since you're not really doing the Leech Seed stuff. And then just a very basic set, something like Bold Nature, Max HP here. Maybe do something like this to the second bump here, and then just round it out with something like this, right? And then the rest just goes into special defense. So this way you get a little bit of a balance with the Wo-Chien. 192 is perfect, right, for the Citrus Berry. Nice little even number recovery there. And then, of course, Terra-wise, I think Water is best. Resist the Ice weakness, resist the Fire weakness, neutralize the Fighting weakness. Water has been a good defensive typing, even just considering Amoonguss, right? So Wo-Chien, pretty decent. Okay, now all of a sudden, now what about like another set? Well, how about the leftover set? And this one will be the Leech Seed set. You can do Leech Seed. All right, you still need Snarl in my opinion. Okay, and then some other move, you know, maybe with Protect. Okay, like I don't know, Ruination for example, right? Just, you know, chip things in half. You know, make sure they start losing health a little bit faster. So you can definitely do something like this, and you know, more or less the same EV spread that we did over here. But I think Wo-Chien, again, paired with a special attacking restricted, has some merit. All right, so that's my little spiel on Wo-Chien. Now let's take a look at some of the winning teams that have been able to utilize Wo-Chien. All right, so looking at this tournament here, it's called the Shark Tank Weeklies. And the winning team had a Wo-Chien 6-1 result from Soda. Let's take a look at this. And this is actually a pretty smart way to use this, right? Because look at this Wo-Chien set. Leftover, Snarl, and Foul Play. Pretty good there. But it's a nice idea to pair it with Kyogre, right? And let me put that in the team builder real quick. Because look at the synergy that they have with each other, right? Because Wo-Chien, now you got a grass type and you got a water type in the rain, right? So Wo-Chien's fire weakness now is mitigated because Kyogre's rain helps it so. Right? Then at the same time, Kyogre's defense isn't all that great, right? It's okay, 90 base defense is solid, okay? But now Wo-Chien helps that a little bit because now you're not taking as much physical damage, which is good. And then at the same time, you offer Snarl support, so now you're not going to be taking as much special attack damage. I still think something like Pollen Puff would be better for something like Kyogre, so this way you can heal it back and, you know, pressure more with Water Spout just in case you do take some damage. But obviously they felt like they needed the grass move a little bit more, right? And then after that, you know, you can still support with stuff like Thundurus and Arkeladon, right? So, you know, again, I've seen Wo-Chien Thundurus before on the same team. I remember Joseph Ugarte. He brought Wo-Chien Thundurus into the World Championships last year. That was pretty cool, right? And I think there was Landorus and Heatran on that team. So this is something familiar. But really what it comes down to is once you've chosen Kyogre, then you just add the Arkeladon. All right, and then instead of Tornadus, he chose the Prankster Thundurus, right? Which is still totally fine in itself. That's a defined one. I meant the other one. No, actually, it's the same one. So, you know, this makes sense. Look, Kyogre Thundurus has pretty good synergy. Wild Bolt Storm, right? You know, 100% accurate in the rain. Thunder Wave for speed control instead of Tailwind. And then now you have Eerie Impulse along with Snarl. So now a lot of damage mitigation is coming out here, along with Wo-Chien reducing physical damage. So now, in fact, Arkeladon becomes relatively hard to remove at the same time. Look, you've got the Assault Vest, you've got Eerie Impulse and Snarl support, and you've got Wo-Chien. This Arkeladon is not dropping anytime soon. Same thing with Kyogre over here. But to me, I think you much rather have Pollen Puff. But that's just me, right? Maybe there was more merit with Giga Drain. Look, I didn't win the tournament, right? So I can't really say too much. I'm just reporting it, right? Chi-Yu also makes sense here. Again, Chi-Yu, now you get this Fire, Water, Grass core with Wo-Chien, Chi-Yu, and Rapid Strike Urshifu. So Chi-Yu makes Kyogre and the Arkeladon do more damage. And then, of course, Rapid Urshifu, we already know, does a lot of damage in the rain, right? So if anything, Kyogre, Thundurus, Arkeladon, Rapid Strike, Urshifu, that was your core 4. Then you just round out the team with Wo-Chien and Chi-Yu to give you that Fire, Water, Grass core. So this actually makes sense. I like this way. I like the way this person built, whoever Soda is. You know, Chi-Yu in the rain might look weird, But listen, when you're clicking double Snarl, okay, along with Eerie Impulse, nothing is going to touch your Arcalyptic or Kyogre ever again. Okay, you don't have to click your fire moves. You can click your dark moves too. All right, same thing with the Urshifu. Again, more damage in the rain, also relatively nice. So this is a pretty smart way to do it, right? And again, like we said, pairing this with a bunch of special attackers is the way to go. Urshifu doesn't care about your Wo-Chien, right? It's just going to crit anyway. So there's the idea there, but this is a smart way to use it. So shout out to Soda over here for coming up with this Wo-Chien idea to pair it with Kyogre. Let's look at one more team that Wo-Chien had some success with. All right, so this is from the White League, tournament that was done on the Saturday, and not 8th, 9th place, 6-2 result from Orange Steve, who we've seen before. And again, he's got another special attack and restricted. He's got Eternatus, which is something that isn't really played all that much. And it kind of makes sense on a team like this. He's going for the Cosmic Power Recover stuff. So Mr. Orange Steve is in favor of the stall mechanic, just sitting there, clicking this move, starting to recover. And then Wo-Chien is going to do damage mitigation with, Tablets of Ruin along with Snarl support here. Pollen Puff for more healing. This looks pretty annoying to deal with. I don't know how you really break this, but that's the idea here. Okay, Groudon, again, wants to click Precipice Blaze against Eternatus. You're weak to ground moves, but Wo-Chien can just swap in and soak that up because you are a grass type. Okay, and then at the same time, fighting move into Wo-Chien. Now, that goes into Eternatus, which is a poison type. Also doesn't really do a whole lot of damage. So pretty good synergy here. I just don't think you need the Cosmic Power set. Maybe that is the best way to play with it. But I'd rather just go like a more offensive set with like Power Meteor Beam, right? Then you have Instant over here, and again, Rapid Strike Urshifu. Once again, Fire, Water, Grass Core, special attack damaging restricted. That seems to be the formula, of course. And then here, again, another special attacker like Flutter Mane. Doesn't really care about Wo-Chien's presence. Sinistcha, same idea. Again, another grass support option, right? So this is an interesting squad from Orange Steve. So shout outs to both Orange Steve and Soda for making good use with Wo-Chien. Okay, I still like this idea of Wo-Chien and Thundurus here, even though it's not necessarily Kyogre. Because again, like Thunder Wave along with Eerie Impulse is very, very good damage mitigation. And then, of course, speed control is offered, right? So that's pretty good there with Thundurus. Then you also get, like I said, Wild Bolt. So you can even consider Thunderbolt here if you're not doing Kyogre stuff. And then something like Taunt, just to deny, other potential setup. But I think Calyrex-Shadow Rider just makes sense here. Again, another physical special attacking restricted that can utilize Wo-Chien's services, right? Like your special defense is okay. Like 100 is pretty decent. 80, again, just like Kyogre, which had 90, a little bit below. Not like bad, because 80 is still like okay. But again, Wo-Chien can just help this out a little bit, right? And then from here, like you just consider, look, you're weak against fighting, right? But then Calyrex can just swap into that and be fine because, you are a ghost type. So I think something like this is also okay. Then you add Chi-Yu, right? So then here's the Chi-Yu. Calyrex does more damage. Then you add the Urshifu. Again, we're following the formula that has been proven already, right? So now I've got this Fire, Water, Grass core going with Wo-Chien, Chi-Yu, and Urshifu Rapid Strike. And this is a pretty decent 5 that you can start with. I guess your 6th slot would probably be like some Trick Room Mon, to help you deny that all in all, right? Or maybe even something to deny priority. Maybe even just something like an Indeedee over here. That could help you a lot, with something like Trick Room. So I think you can do something like this as like a little 6. I won't build this per se, unless you really want me to. You can DM me and I can give you the pace for something like this. But this is another idea that you can utilize for Wo-Chien and something like this. Another restricted that I think can also do well with Wo-Chien is something like Lunala, right? For the same reason as the Calyrex-Shadow Rider. Again, just being able to support Lunala here with this, again, not as great defense, but much better special defense, right? You see the common formula that I'm going with here, right? And then Pollen Puff can heal the Lunala and make sure that you get your Shadow Shield back. So that's also pretty good. The same way Incineroar and Amoonguss can help out Lunala here, right? In fact, I'll just put that right here. So imagine Lunala, Incineroar, and Amoonguss, right? That's usually like your starting point for this kind of Trick Room team. But instead we have Wo-Chien, right? Double fighting weakness, but this is also where Lunala can come into play and help, kind of balance that out a little bit by adding the neutrality there. And then from here, you can add something like Urshifu, you know, Rapid Strike. So this way, now you get your Fire Order, Grass Core going. So this, I think, can also make sense to an extent, right? This is one way to also, you know, add to Lunala's viability. Again, just making sure that you don't take as much damage, and when you do, you just heal it back up with Pollen Puff, and just keep supporting with Snarl. So this way, Lunala's bulk is held intact. But I think this is, again, another good solid way to build around it. Just having another special attacking restricted that can benefit from Wo-Chien services like this. I think this makes a lot of sense. All right, so one more set that I also think merits discussion is Assault Vest Wo-Chien, because again, now you're just not taking damage at all from some of these special attacks. Because now you can do Foul Play, Pollen Puff, Snarl, and Giga Drain, right? So a little bit more recovery for this time around. And then even Ruination can merit a slot here. So instead of Foul Play, you could even consider Ruination in this set, right? But either way, you're just chipping away at your opponent, while your other options like your restricted is just finishing them off after they've been chipped so much. Like imagine you have Calyrex-Shadow Rider on your team, right? Imagine this, and then you've just chipped everything in the early game with stuff like Ruination and Snarls and Giga Drains, right? Or even Pollen Puffs. Now all of a sudden in the end game, Calyrex comes in, everything has been chipped, and then you just click Astral Barrage, right? And then now everything just melts, and then of course Wo-Chien can just keep mitigating damage, you know, with Snarl and Tablets of Ruin, right? So I do think AV Wo-Chien, just to be able to stay on the field, is going to be good, right? Like again, it's just a pretty solid niche Pokemon this time around. Again, I'm not saying it's going to break the meta, but I do think people are going to use it a little bit more as they realize, wait, this thing is actually decent into a lot of different restricteds. All right, so that's going to be it. Let me know what you think of Wo-Chien in regulationG, and if you've used it so far, let me know how you have used it. And again, if you're interested in coaching and building for regulationG and you need a little bit of help, sign up with the tier 3 sub on the channel. If you look in the video description below, as well as the comment section, there is a pinned comment with the link to join the channel with the tier 3 sub. And then from there, we can plan out a one-on-one session where we get to talk about what kind of team you want to make and build for what purpose, whether it be ladder, whether it be tournament, or that first regional, you know, in Indianapolis, right? Which we've done a lot for some of you already. So if that's something you're interested in, again, sign up for the channel with that tier 3 sub, and then message me on Discord, and then we can get your session going. All right, but that's going to be it for now, folks. We'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out, and have a good one.